Winter is coming, and more smoothly than it did last time. Second Sons, Season 3, Episode 8. I kinda hated the last episode because of not only the emphasis on romantic interests, but a complete overload of them. However, the way that this following episode is panned out really does prove to me that what they did with The Bear and the Maiden Fair was to cram all of the heavy romance stuff into one episode. So for someone like me who didn't enjoy that stuff, it is like ripping off a band-aid. It hurt at the time, but it's done and we can move on now. As we've gotten from time to time, this is again largely a setup episode, but it still feels like it's moving forward much more than those first two episodes of the season were, so I'm completely fine with that. Some interesting things going on at King's Landing here. Sansa turns up and I didn't hate her. I still don't really like her as a character, but I like the situation she's now been put in, and I think that situation can potentially help develop her into somebody that I actually enjoy being on screen. It's a little sad watching Tyrion reeling so much from the stuff going on around him. What's always been fun about him is how he turns stuff to his advantage and he always feels like he's still on top. He's really been kicked down in this season, and it's interesting, but I kind of feel bad for the guy. You may remember I mentioned Joffrey had become slightly more dynamic in the wake of stuff that happened at the end of Season 2, in that he seemed to realize his throne was not as firm as he thought it was. Well, that's gone. He's got his confidence back, which means he's a full-on dick now, which makes him less dynamic and just annoying. Then again, he needs to continue to be not only a bad king, but a bad person, because a big part of what's perpetuating all this stuff going on is how bad he is. I mean, his father was a bad king, but he was an okay person. This kid... And it's important for the story that he stay that way, more or less. Tywin Lannister is still pulling everybody's strings, and just how effortlessly this guy is in control of pretty much the entire world of King's Landing is really impressive. I'm continuing to find the Lady Melisandre, the woman in red, increasingly interesting. She's got more depth to her now than she had when she was first showing up, and that's not going away. In fact, it's building up a bit more over time. We get the return of Davos, the Onion Knight, who hasn't had a lot to do this season, but he's always just a joy to have on screen whenever he's there. One of the things I really like about this episode is it's a very good illustration about how the show balances both epically huge figures and relatively smaller ones who are still important in the big scheme of things. Because you're dealing with kings and generals and noble families, but you know what? We get a lot of really cool moments, and moments for smaller characters to shine. Characters like Gendry, like Samwell, who I had always seemed like a bit of a tag on to me up to this point, but he gets some real nice moments to shine here. The stuff going on with Daenerys continues to be an absolute highlight at this point. A lot of what the show has been about overall has been delaying her returning to Westeros for as long as possible. Because obviously when she gets around to actually showing up on that continent again, it's gonna change everything. So the story has really been about delaying her and giving her obstacles to keep her from getting there. And there were times in the second season especially where it felt like very forced stumbling blocks and forced delays. Now it's, while she's not just rolling on through, she's still got obstacles to overcome where she is. You've got a pretty clear trajectory, and she's definitely building towards her move to reclaim the throne, and I'm getting really excited for her and where she's going to be going. Not too much to nitpick about this episode, really. All the stuff that has been really bothering me this season is pretty much absent totally. If I wasn't coming off of an episode that I had so many issues with as The Bear and the Maiden Fair, then maybe there would be little things I'd be nitpicking at this, but at this point, it's just such a relief versus the one I had to watch before this that I just love this, and I am so excited to see the last two episodes of this season. So here's a question for you. There's obviously a lot of competing interests for the Iron Throne. Who do you think actually deserves to sit on that damn thing? Leave something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And until next time, this council is adjourned.